I have seen a lot of people struggle with the footage which was shot against the sunlight. This could be because you underexpose the overall image while shooting, and now your subject has become too dark, and now you want to deal with it in the post production. I will show you how to color grade such footage. Let's go. Hi everyone, my name is Hitesh Gill, and the channel you are on is Winters and Drum. Let's get into DaVinci Resolve. So this is my footage. As you can already see, the talent here is standing against the highlights and she looks very dark here, and we need to fix this in DaVinci Resolve. Now normally what beginners would do, they would try to deal with this using shadow wheels and highlights. While you can deal with the situation to an extent like this also, but the problem with this method is that you will lose a lot of contrast. Now there is certain detail back, but we've lost the overall contrast of the image, so we don't want to do that. There is a method which is much cleaner than this, and while you might want to use the wheels also, along with that we will use something else also to recover the details here. So here I have made a node tree which has a exposure node, contrast, balance and saturation, and we have two nodes for log wheels and windows. Okay, then let's start the grading. First I will try to bring the overall exposure up in the exposure node. Using the offset wheel, I will try to bring the overall exposure a little bit up. So I am opening up the image a little bit here using the offset wheel. Now I don't want to introduce any contrast as of now. As far as balance is concerned, I would like to make this a little bit warmer than it already is. Okay. And now for saturation. Saturation is important in this kind of scenario, where in this kind of a situation it's very hard to create depth, and saturation is a very good tool to do that. That's way too high. Let's bring it down. I think that much is enough. Now the main thing that is going to happen in these two nodes, log and windows. We are going to create another node after this, but you will see that in a second. Let's just come to this node and let's open our log wheels. I am going to try to bring up the shadows a little bit, but further than that I'm not going to try to do anything on the log wheels. Let's just come to the windows section. Now, this is the main source. Let me make a window around our subject. Okay, let me adjust the size of the node and the feather also for the best and the cleanest results. Yes, that looks good. Now since the subject is moving, we might want to track this window, because if we don't track this window we might lose our subject here and there. So we've come to the tracking window. We will press this button now to track the whole clip forward and backward. Now DaVinci Resolve is tracking our subject, and by the way guys, you can do this thing in the free version of DaVinci Resolve also. Okay, now that our subject is selected, you might be thinking that I will straight away start increasing the exposure of the subject. Wait a second. Come to this node where we selected the subject. We are going to press Alt plus O. Okay, Alt plus O in Windows and Option plus O in Mac. Now what we've created here is an outside node. This one is an outside node, which is basically inverting the mask. The mask that we created in this one, in this node, we have inverted that same mask. So in this node, we have selected our subject, and in this node, we have selected everything else but our subject. Now we will select this node. Let me rename these nodes for your convenience. This one is subject, and this one is background. Now I will come to the background node, and here I will slowly bring down the exposure using the global wheel in HDR. Global or offset, you can call it anything. Now, I will use this node to bring the overall exposure down of the background. Okay, to see the results of before and after. Now you can take it a little bit further than this also, if you want to. Okay, very clean results up till now. Now I will come to the node in which our subject is selected, and I will bring the exposure up in this case, since we want to highlight our subject here. Now, the most important thing here is to keep things very subtle, because you don't want to mess things up. You still want to keep your overall image as natural as possible. Here I am using offset wheel or the global wheel, because I want to affect all of my highlights, midtones and shadows all together. And I am using HDR wheels because it is the best tool for adjusting your exposure. It gives you the cleanest results. It increases or decreases the exposure in very photometric quantities. It basically gives you a very clean result overall. And if you want to adjust your exposure, I would always suggest you to go for HDR wheels. After doing adjustments in these two nodes, I did my adjustments in exposure again, and I got a much better and cleaner result. The basic idea here is to not let the transition be very clear. The transition between these two nodes, that has to be hidden. Guys, let me show you before and after. This was before and this is after. As you can already see, there is no loss in contrast as such. We've retained our contrast to a good level. Uh, this was only possible because of the selective adjustment that I did here, and then I again used my exposure wheels to further enhance the image. Now, if somebody is watching this footage, they will not be able to guess how many windows you've used in order to get the right exposure. I will show you before and after once again, just to show you the difference from where we started and where we reached. I know the transition is not as natural as you would want it to be, but honestly, very honestly speaking, this is a good place to start. You can make further adjustments here. You can try to reduce the overall exposure here, and I mean, you can do all sorts of things to do those fine adjustments and really refine this to your taste. This technique is quite basic but quite popular in the color grading world, and it is known as relighting, where you use different masks or windows to adjust exposure of different parts of the images to bring the overall attention to your subject. Now, you can use this in all sorts of videos or images. It doesn't have to be against the sunlight, it can be used anywhere. One bonus tip that I would like to give while doing the relighting is that try to always make negative adjustments instead of positive adjustments, which means try to bring the exposure down of certain parts of the images rather than bringing the exposure up of your subject. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something in this one, and if there are any doubts, you can ask me in the comments. I will try to answer them all, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, be kind, keep grinding. Bye bye.